Plymouth currently sitting at 6 degrees, whilst Aberdeen reaches 9. Yes, you heard that correctly. The southwest colder than the northeast, and this temperature inversion is about to tell us everything we need to know about the next 7 days across the UK. Is your area about to face the final push of winter, or are we sliding into an early spring? Right now, the Met Office has issued yellow warnings affecting 17 counties across England and Scotland. Over 12 million people waking up to persistent rain, gusty winds, and that nagging question, when does this unsettled spell finally break? I'm going to give you specific timing for your location in the next 30 seconds, but first, drop your city or county in the comments right now. Tomorrow morning, I'll be going through those comments and giving personalized forecasts for your exact area, because what's happening in Manchester is completely different from what Cardiff is about to experience. Right then, let's get straight into it. London, you are looking at 7 degrees today, staying around 8 tomorrow, but Sunday, that jumps to 10 with brighter spells developing. Manchester, steadier at 7 degrees through the weekend, but the rain becomes more showery rather than persistent. Birmingham, similar story, 7 to 8 degrees, drying trend as we head into Sunday afternoon. Glasgow, you are the warmest of the major cities at 9 degrees today, but that changes dramatically by Monday. Edinburgh, 8 degrees, staying dull and damp through Saturday. Cardiff, 7 degrees today, brightening Sunday afternoon with that weather front clearing eastwards. Belfast, initially wet this morning, but you could see some brightness developing this afternoon. Temperatures around 8 degrees. Now, here's what nobody is talking about. That area of low pressure dominating our weather this weekend isn't moving. It is sitting right on top of us, spinning away, dragging moisture up from the southwest while simultaneously pulling in colder air from the North Sea. This creates what meteorologists call a thermal battleground, and you are living right in the middle of it. The Met Office unified model and the European model are actually in remarkable agreement for the next 48 hours, which gives us confidence in the broad picture. Unsettled, yes. Wet in places, absolutely. But here's the thing, it won't be raining everywhere all the time. Eastern England, particularly Lincolnshire, Norfolk, Suffolk, you've got a decent chance of seeing some sunny spells today. The southeasterly wind, which has been such a feature this past week, is actually sheltering you from the worst of the precipitation. Western Scotland, and I am talking about Oban, Fort William, parts of the Inner Hebrides, you are in a similar situation, relatively dry and bright compared to your eastern counterparts. But Aberdeen, Dundee, Perth, you are stuck under that low cloud, persistent drizzle, and over the Cairngorms and Grampians, we are still seeing snow above 600 metres. Not significant accumulations, perhaps 2 to 5 centimetres on the highest peaks, but it's a reminder that winter hasn't completely released its grip. Wales is seeing showery rainfall through the day. Swansea, Cardiff, Bangor expect intermittent heavy bursts rather than continuous rain. Northwest England, similar picture. Liverpool, Preston, Carlisle, showers rotating through, some heavy at times. But the southwest, and this is quite a shift from recent days, Plymouth, Exeter, Penzance, you're actually drying out. After the relentless rainfall UV experienced, today brings some respite. Still cloudy, mind you, but at least dry. Temperature-wise across the board, we are looking at 7 to 10 degrees Celsius. That pretty much bang on average for the end of January. Now, with a bit of brightness in the south, you might touch 10 degrees in London, Southampton, Brighton. But here, where it gets interesting, on those North Sea coasts, it feels considerably colder. The wind, that persistent easterly component, combined with the damp air, creates a wind chill that makes 5 degrees feel more like 2. Let me just clarify that because it's an important distinction. Actual air temperature and feels like temperature can differ significantly in these conditions. Scarborough, Whitby, Berwick-upon-Tweed, you know exactly what I am talking about. That raw, penetrating cold that goes straight through you. As we move into this evening and overnight, there's a subtle shift happening. Wet weather currently affecting eastern areas will work its way into the eastern counties of England. So Norwich, Ipswich, Colchester, after a largely dry day, rain arrives this evening, heaviest overnight, but then clearing out into the North Sea by dawn. Elsewhere, we'll see a few showers developing. Clearer skies pushing into Wales and western Scotland, but as the winds ease, watch for mist and murk developing. Glasgow, Inverness, you could wake up Sunday morning to quite dense mist patches in sheltered valleys. It's going to be a rather grey, drab start to February, I'm afraid. Temperatures overnight holding up at 4 to 5 degrees, so not especially cold. No frost concerns for the vast majority. Sunday, as weather remains messy, there's quite a few showers around, and we start with that grey, damp picture across many eastern areas. Newcastle, Middlesbrough, Knaresborough, Hull, outbreaks of rain first thing. We continue with a brisk wind and rain at times in the far northeast, particularly Shetland and Orkney, where it stays blustery all day. But here is the difference for Sunday compared to today. There is a weather front approaching Northern Ireland. Belfast, Derry, you will see cloud and rain moving in during the morning, though it may brighten later. That rain then works into western Scotland. Glasgow, by Sunday afternoon, you are looking at a different feel compared to Saturday. Some showery rain potentially working back into Wales and northwest England. But generally across England and Wales, things are turning drier and perhaps brighter through Sunday. Temperatures remain 7 to 10 degrees Celsius. Now, we are at that point in the forecast where I need to talk about what's coming next week. There are developments in the Atlantic. An area of low pressure currently southwest of Iceland is forecast to deepen and track towards the UK early next week, likely bringing more wet weather to southern and western areas. But here's the complication. The European model and Met Office model show slightly different tracks. Met Office has it further south, meaning heavier rain for southern England and South Wales. European model keeps it north, spreading rain across northern England and Scotland. Tomorrow's model runs should clarify this, which is why you need to check back. The one thing that concerns me most about next week is the potential for rainfall totals to accumulate across areas that have already seen saturated ground. Devon, Cornwall, parts of West Wales, Somerset, UV had relentless rainfall through January. The ground is absolutely sodden. River levels are elevated. If we see another 30 to 50 millimeters of rain early next week, there's a genuine risk of localized flooding. The Environment Agency is monitoring this closely, and ID expect to see flood warnings issued over the weekend for certain river catchments. The River Severn, River Wye, rivers across Devon and Cornwall, these are the areas to watch. But wait until you see what the models are suggesting for the second half of next week. And I am being deliberately vague here because there is still considerable uncertainty, but there are signals, tentative signals, of something colder trying to push in from the east. Now, I've been here before, we have all been here before, where day 10 outlooks show dramatic cold spells that never materialize. So I am treating this with appropriate caution. However, what's interesting is the stratosphere. There has been a minor, sudden stratospheric warming event, and whilst it's not a major displacement of the polar vortex, it can influence the jet stream position in the weeks that follow. The jet stream is what separates mild Atlantic air from colder continental air. If it shifts south, we get the mild stuff. If it shifts north or weakens, we can tap into colder air masses from Scandinavia or even further east. The GFS model is quite keen on a cold spell developing around the 8th to 10th of February. The European model is more cautious, showing something cooler but not especially cold. The Met Office ensemble, which looks at multiple scenarios, has about 40% of its members showing meaningful cold, 60% showing something more benign. What does this mean for you practically? Well, for those of you hoping for a proper cold snap with snow, there's a chance. It's not guaranteed, it's probably not even likely at this stage, but it's possible. For those of you who've had quite enough of winter, thank you very much. Don't pack away the winter coat just yet. We are not sliding into spring next week. Leeds, Sheffield, Nottingham, you're in that transition zone where if we do see colder air, you could see some snow. Not necessarily heavy, perhaps a few centimeters, enough to cause some disruption, but nothing like the winters of 1963 or even 2010. Actually, I should be more precise about that. The early January cold spell we experienced, that was enough for most people. We saw temperatures drop to -8 in parts of Scotland, -5 in northern England. That was a proper taste of winter. Whether we get another dose remains to be seen. Kent and Sussex, you are vulnerable to channel gales early next week if that low pressure tracks along the English Channel. Dover, Brighton, Eastbourne, expect gusty winds, potentially 50 to 60 miles per hour on exposed coasts. The Scottish Highlands, persistent rain Sunday into Monday could bring 20 to 30 millimetres in the west. Landslip risk increases. A83 and A82 travellers should check conditions before setting out. Northern Ireland, Monday looks wetter. Antrim, Down Armagh, expect persistent rain through Monday daytime, clearing Monday night. York being in that vale, you can often escape the worst of the rain. Sunday looks reasonable for you, mostly dry, some brighter spells possible. The Midlands, Birmingham, Coventry, Leicester, Sunday should be largely dry. Monday, some rain, but probably not as heavy as southern or northern areas. Bristol and Bath, Monday looks wet and windy. Gusts potentially 40 to 50 miles per hour. Rain heavy at times. East Anglia, you've actually got a reasonable weekend ahead. Norwich, Ipswich, Cambridge, Sunday largely dry. Monday staying dry until late. Now, I mentioned earlier about dropping your location in the comments. I am genuinely interested in doing personalized forecasts tomorrow morning. Whether you are in Inverness or Truro, Bangor, or Canterbury, tell me where you are and I'll give you specific detail for your area. The more specific you can be, the better. If you're in a valley, on a hilltop, near the coast, inland, that all makes a difference. We are at the 3-minute mark. Perfect time to remind you tomorrow's update is going to be crucial. We'll have overnight model runs showing that Monday System S track much more clearly. We'll know whether southern England is looking at heavy rain or whether it S tracking north. We'll have a better handle on those colder signals for late next week. Check back tomorrow morning. Genuinely, it'll be worth it. Let me paint you a scenario that the Met Office model is suggesting. If that low pressure on Monday tracks along the English Channel, here is what happens. Southwest England gets the worst of the rain Sunday night into Monday, 20 to 40 millimetres. South Wales, similar. Southern counties of England, 15 to 30 millimetres. Strong winds, 50 to 70 miles per hour on exposed coasts. That S amber warning territory potentially. But if the European model is correct and it tracks further north, northern England and southern Scotland get the heaviest rain instead. Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, Glasgow, Edinburgh, you'd be looking at 20 to 40 millimetres. The south stays cloudier and breezy, but avoids the worst. That's a massive difference in impacts. Road flooding, travel disruption, potential power cuts from strong winds, these are all on the table depending on which track verifies. And we want to know with confidence until tomorrow as models come in. This is why I always say weather forecasting isn't about being certain, it's about understanding the range of possibilities and updating as new information arrives. Anyone who tells you they know exactly what LL happened on Tuesday is either remarkably confident or hasn't looked at the models closely enough. There's one location that could see something quite unexpected early next week, the Scottish Cairngorms. If that low tracks north and pulls down colder air behind it, the Cairngorms could see significant snowfall Monday night into Tuesday. Potentially 10 to 20 centimetres above 800 metres. Ski resorts would appreciate that, but it's speculative at this stage. Like opening a freezer door across the entire country, that's what a proper easterly would feel like if it develops late next week. Coastal areas particularly vulnerable. Great Yarmouth, Lowestoft, Skegness. If we get that easterly, you do really feel it. Inland areas can be surprisingly sheltered sometimes. I know this isn't ideal for those planning outdoor events next weekend. The weather is what it is, unfortunately, but there are windows of opportunity. Sunday afternoon across central and southern England looks reasonable for a few hours. For travellers Monday, build in extra time. Strong winds and heavy rain could disrupt rail services and create difficult driving conditions. Surface water on roads will be the main hazard. M5, M4, M6, all likely to be affected. The absolute key takeaway from this forecast, the next 7 days are transitional. We're moving from one pattern to another, and during transitions, uncertainty increases. Monday S system is real, it S coming, but exactly where it goes determines who gets the worst weather. Late week colder signals are interesting, but not yet reliable enough to make firm plans around. Do check back tomorrow because I'll have refined all of this significantly. The models update every 6 hours, and each run gives us more clarity. By tomorrow morning, Monday S system will be just 48 hours away, well within reliable forecast range. If there's one thing to take away from this forecast, it's this: flexibility. Have a plan A and a plan B for outdoor activities next week. Don't assume it'll definitely be wet everywhere all day Monday, but equally don't assume it'll be dry. I really appreciate those of you who engage with these forecasts, who ask questions, who share what S happening in your area. That feedback loop helps me understand what information you actually need versus what S just meteorological noise. Tomorrow morning, I'll be going through tonight S comments. Tell me your location, tell me your concerns, whether it's S commuting, outdoor work, events you are planning, and I'll address those specifically. That is the benefit of this format. We can have an actual conversation about the weather rather than me just broadcasting at you. So once more, drop your location in the comments. Be as specific as you like. I'll see you tomorrow morning with a much clearer picture of Monday S system, updated thoughts on that potential colder spell later next week, and personalized forecasts for your area. Thank you for watching, and remember, weather forecasting is an evolving science. We better than we've ever been, but we not perfect. Embrace the uncertainty, plan accordingly, and check back for updates. See you tomorrow morning, 8